Welcome to the Wedding Songs Podcast, featuring newly released songs you need to know and the tried and true classics. Get song ideas from the time guests arrive until the last dance of the reception. And now your host, Matt Campbell, founder of MyWeddingSongs.com.
Welcome, everybody, to the Wedding Songs Podcast. I am Matt Campbell. Today, we have a very special story. The one and only DJ Alex Reyes from DJ Alex Reyes Entertainment. He is based in the San Francisco Bay Area. Welcome to the show, Alex.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. How are you today?
I'm doing wonderful and happy that you're here on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here today.
So just to kind of get started, I have an intro icebreaker question. Can you just tell us your most memorable DJ show so far?
My most memorable DJ shows I have done in the past several years are the Night to Shine events from the Tim Tebow Foundation. All of those events are very special because these proms are specifically for special needs. And I have been honored and blessed to be a part of the Tim Tebow Foundation for the last several years, and I'm so happy to be a part of it.
That's phenomenal. I've actually heard very good things about the Tim Tebow Foundation. I'm happy that you're part of that as well.
You know, of course, I've been doing this now for the last several, almost 10 years, to be honest with you. Long time. Even during the pandemic, we did a drive-through prom, and when everything came back in person, we decided to do it again slowly, but everything's been coming back one step at a time.
That just means that you're doing a great job 10 years in a row. That's awesome.
Oh, I'm trying.
We always say that. Every year, I'm sure, is new challenges. So if you would, please just introduce yourself to our listeners.
My name is Alex Reyes. I'm with DJ Alex Reyes Entertainment based here in Fremont, California. My company provides mobile DJ sound reinforcement and uplighting services throughout the entire San Francisco Bay Area. And I've been doing this now since January 1st, 2001.
A long time.
I'll be honest with you, when I first started the company, I was actually inspired by my dad. And my dad was a big influencer in my life. He was a Spanish broadcaster here in San Jose for 40 years, since 1984. But that's what I devoted my life to do, because if it wasn't for my dad, I wouldn't be the man I am today. But sadly, my dad passed away April 12th, 2022 from stage 4 colon cancer. So my dad was a big influencer in my life, and he really taught me the industry really well. And before he passed away, I promised him I was going to keep his legacy through me. So I'm doing everything in my power to make that happen.
I know, as you said, he was a big influence. Can you just give a little bit more background about what your dad was doing inside of the DJ industry?
So my dad was an on-air radio broadcaster for several Spanish radio stations here in San Jose. He was with KBRG in the 80s, and then he moved to another radio station, KZSF, and he spent the last 20 years with them. And then he was with another radio station in Salinas, Radio Tigre, out there in Salinas, California. And he would also broadcast from here, from our house. So he would go out there once a month and go to the station. And what my dad really inspired me was that what I do as a DJ, he was actually very proud of what I did, because he saw me at a show. Actually, I want to share this real quick, if I may. My family and I went to a wedding or an event back in a couple of years ago in Napa, and I actually saw exactly what the problem was. And I went up to my dad and I told him, "Hey Dad, do you see what I see?" I'm like, "What?" There is no tech. So basically the story goes is that there was this band that was performing, and the guy was singing, and he would go to the mixer to adjust, and then he would come back. And the guy did that several times, like around 5 or 6 times. I don't remember how many times he went, but he went back multiple times. And my dad and I saw it. I'm like, "Alex, what's the matter?" I'm like, "Something's not right." I'm like, "What's going on?" The guy is singing, but the guy is going to the board adjusting, and he's going back on stage. I'm like, "Really?" So I took the initiative during the intermission to take the helm and be his sound guy. And my dad, there was a gentleman that was right there, and he was like, "Son, do you know what you're doing?" And my dad comes in and is like, yes, my son knows exactly what he's doing. How do you know? Because my son is a sound guy. He has, it was the mixer that they were using was a Pro FX 22, and I was using a Pro FX 16. So I know exactly what I was doing. I mean, I had my headphones, I had everything ready to go. And the guy was like, oh, thank you so much for helping. I'm like, you're welcome. So me and my dad have like a sixth sense of when somebody's in trouble, you will always back him up. But that's what I love about my dad, because my dad was always very supportive of me. So for me, my dad was like a big influencer in my life. So my parents were like, Alex, how did you know the guy was in trouble? Because he was running back and forth and adjusting and singing, adjusting and singing. I'm like, okay, do what you gotta do. So my dad, so basically I was the one who spotted it first before my dad did, because it took him a couple seconds to register exactly what was going on. And the guy at the end of the day was like, well, I guess your son was absolutely right, because I didn't know he was in trouble. Because, as entertainers, we know when somebody's in trouble. It doesn't matter if, because I can read, after doing this for almost 25 years, you can read people's bar line from the get-go. So for me, it's like, I know what this guy was up to before they even come and tell me. That's why I have my ears. If something's not right, they'll tell me in my ear without even telling me. And I know what's going on. So for me, it's like, for me, it's like a sixth sense.
So was your dad an influence in you becoming a DJ then?
Yes, sir. He was. He was actually the one who opened up the doors with the disabled. I did an interview with NBC Bay Area / Telemundo 48 here in the Bay Area during the pandemic. And I'm not gonna lie, Dad, I miss you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get emotional, but I have to let it go. I had like 25 to 30 shows before the shutdown. And I'm not gonna lie, everybody was dropping like flies. Everybody was dropping like flies, because I wanted to give my customers options. It was either A, get a full refund, no questions asked, or B, you can hire me at a later date once everything reopens. The majority of the people that were supporting me over these years, they stayed with me. I had a client who was with me for the last 2 years, and I still have her to this day. But most of the clients requested full refunds, and I honored those requests with no questions asked. I wasn't gonna question. But a lot of people were just dropping like flies. But I'm not gonna lie, I've been so blessed this year, because business has been booming. I mean, it's like a trend. It goes up one year, it goes down one year. It goes up one year, it goes down a year. So, I mean, I'm already slammed already with shows. I'm already getting ready for a big festival that's coming up next month, and I'm getting ready for a big Christmas party that's coming up at the beginning of December. So, I mean, I really have my hands full right now. So I honestly didn't expect to get this busy, but it's like my dad said, it's better to stay busy than doing nothing. So I actually, one of my most memorable moments of my dad, and this is something that I want to share with everybody because this is very passionate. My dad, every time like his last party that I did was when he turned 60, 65. When he turned 65 here at the house, we're having a party and we were setting up, and my dad was like, Alex, crank up the music and put September. I don't give a crap about what they say. Sule, crank that sucker all the way up. And I cranked that sucker all the way up, and my dad was dancing like there's no tomorrow. And the neighbors got pissed, but you know what? We don't care about that. The neighbors really enjoy the music. So like they really don't care. But my dad really, really enjoyed life to the fullest. And believe it or not, he actually still has his license with the FCC to this day. So, because that's what they told me back then. Back in the day when you started in radio, you have to have an FCC license. I don't know if that's true back in the day, but now it's different. Anybody can be a DJ. Anybody can have a podcast just like this. Anybody can have something like this. But back in the day, it was fully regulated. You have to have a license with the FCC to broadcast. You need to have this. You need to have that. So for me, if my dad's listening from heaven, Dad, thank you so much for everything. I will always honor you at all of my shows from here on out. And that was the last moment. That was the last emotional thing before my dad passed away. So me and my dad had a personal heart-to-heart moment. And basically, I promised him 2 things. One, I will stop with the cursing, because I was cursing a lot. So I'm not going to lie. I did curse a lot. And B, I would honor my dad at all of my shows permanently. And for me, doing that for my dad, especially when I do big events like Carnaval San Francisco or Relay for Life or any of those events, that really, really gets me emotional. But I have to do what I have to do. I mean, I have to do my job. And for me, doing this for my family is precious because my father didn't really got to know my niece. My little sister gave birth to a little girl about a year ago, and she is a bundle of joy. And I feel bad that she never got to meet her grandpa. But the bottom line is that if you lose somebody in your life and you honor them like you're supposed to honor them, like look at Selena. Selena's been honored for decades. That's what I want to do with my dad. And for me, doing this for my dad is a way of saying that he's here for me. He's always by my side. I feel his presence. So for me, it's like he never left me, no matter where I go. If I go to Chicago, if I go to Milwaukee, for me, if I do that, he'll know that he's always with me by my side. And I sense his presence. So for me, I owe this to my father. So
I love that how he has put that passion onto you as well of your passion for DJing and passion for life, you know.
yes, because my father, if I can take a moment by saying this, my father was a promoter for 40 years, same time period as the honor thing. And my dad brought big bands, big Mexican bandas that are big hits now because of him. So my dad was like, my dad got connected with Marcus Brothers Entertainment here in San Jose, and they would bring big celebrities like Banda El Recodo, Banda Machos, Mi Banda El Mexicano, Gloria Trevi, and some other Latin-speaking artists like Mark Anthony, and so on. And what my dad was like, the last show that we did was like almost 10 years ago. He brought in Mi Banda El Mexicano. Mi Banda El Mexicano is the equivalent of the Beatles. And these bands are one of the greatest bands of all time. I had the honor of meeting them. I just saw him last year at the Alameda County Fair, and I ran into the singer and I showed the picture of the band with me and the picture of my ex. And I was like, wait a minute. I know you. Are you the son of Manuel Reyes? I'm like, yeah, that's me. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's been 10 years since I last saw you. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, these guys were like the original Mi Banda El Mexicano de Casimiro. So original bands of Mi Banda El Mexicano. And they've been rocking stages for decades. Like I said, think of it like the Beatles or Elton John or Bruce Springsteen or some other celebrities, because these bands, they really sold out shows. And I'm not gonna lie, me and my mom, my parents had the honor of meeting Los Bukis. We went to a concert about 3 years ago, celebrating 25 years of music. And for my mom's birthday, I bought her 2 tickets to go see Los Bukis. So basically, Los Bukis are also the equivalent of the Beatles. And these are like big Mexican artists with their singer. When me and my mom went to the concert, we were literally singing all of their songs. I did the same thing with Mi Banda Mexicana. We were literally singing all of their songs because we've been listening to their songs for decades. So for me, being raised in a Mexican household and me going backstage and me being part of the entertainment, it's been, honestly, man, I'm not gonna lie, it's been a blessing because I've been exposed. I actually, to this day, I still have my backstage passes from 30 years ago. I still have them in my office at an undisclosed location, but I still have my all access passes from decades ago. And for me, and I still got my dad's too, because me and my dad went to a lot of concerts and we got to go backstage and we got to come in and see the rigging. You know, when you come into a loading, rigging, lighting. I mean, the last time I went to Levi Stadium was when they were doing the Elton John farewell concert. And when I saw the environment, I'm like, oh, I know exactly what's going on here, because I saw the rigging and the lighting, and I was like, holy cow, I was in my comfort zone. So
Sure. I love it. Just wanted to ask you then, just kind of switch topics a little. How would you describe cerebral palsy?
Well, honestly, it took me 15 years to figure this one out. Took me a long time to figure it out. And after years of accepting this, I finally came to terms to it because I found out when I was in college. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't want to talk about my disability for obvious reasons, of course, because I was made fun of. I was so offended, and I kept it to myself. I mean, after they changed the law, so basically, here in the state of California, there is a new law that just passed by Governor Gavin Newsom. It's called AB 248, the Dignity for All Act, which basically means it bans the offensive R-word from literature and state law. And after finally coming out, and I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to break my silence, but at the same time, I was scared on how people react. When I posted it on my official Facebook page, DJ Alex Reyes, and on my platforms, Twitter and Instagram, DJ Alex Reyes, and Facebook, and broke my silence after 15 years. The community, I mean, I was in shock. I was in complete shock. Everybody accepted. And when I found out that I was going to be accepted, then I just decided to break my silence because a lot of people had questions. I just did an interview a couple of years ago with John Young on this very subject. And especially for the disabled, it's very difficult for them to talk about their disabilities, if it's invisible or not, because it's, you know, and for obvious reasons, I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want to be disrespected or treated differently. I just wanted people to understand who I am, what I do, and what I'm all about. It doesn't matter where I come from. It doesn't matter what background I am. It doesn't matter what disabilities I have. We're all human. But for me, opening up on social media, especially on coming out day, it really opened up my eyes and say, wait a minute, I'm not alone. Maybe your listeners are going through the same thing by saying, well, yeah, maybe I should come out and tell people this, because if you really want somebody to know who you really are, you really need to just be upfront. And if they're your friends and they'll accept you, then they'll accept you for who you are. But if they're going to start making fun of you, then that's when I start cutting ties with certain people. Because I'm not going to lie, I have told certain people in the past about this. And I'm not going to lie to you on this one. The number one reason I didn't want to tell anybody about this publicly was because a lot of people have used it against me in ways you don't even want to think about. And for me, talking about this now is a sensitive subject to me, but in the end, I have to come out and let it go. I mean, I have told my story numerous times to a lot of people, and most of the people I talked to in the past are completely understandable. And I'll be honest with you, despite my disability and despite my challenges, I am one badass DJ who rocks the house, so to speak, and travels all over the country to the part where my family is so jealous of me because I just got back from Chicago just a couple of weeks ago. I just got back from Chicago and I just got back from Milwaukee recently. So for me, I'm just doing a lot of traveling. My next trip is Harvest of Sound in Boston. So, I mean, I'm doing a lot of traveling for business. So for me, coming out and telling my story publicly, and I want your listeners to take this to heart. If you or anybody in your family is having a hard time expressing yourself on your disability, my advice to all of you is to just tell the people you trust. And if you want to share it on social media, that is your choice. If you want to share it, that's great. If not, I respect your decision and I understand where you're coming from, because maybe they're scared. Maybe they're going to be like, oh, what if they don't like me? It's like if you're performing at a show and they don't like you, then you're going to get bags and you're going to get booed off the stage. But the bottom line is that we want to make sure that you're comfortable posting that information and let them decide. If they accept you for who you are, then that's great, because when I posted it, I have so many comments on my Facebook page. It overwhelmed my social media platform. Like, what the heck? Even the networks were calling me. The TV and radio station, they were calling me left and right. And they're like, Alex, is this true? I'm like, yeah, it's true. I'm like, want to talk about it? Yeah, let's talk about it. I'm like, okay. But, you know, by the grace of God, I am so thankful and blessed to come out with this information, because a lot of people now is coming out openly in a positive way. And I want them to feel comfortable on how they feel. And my advice to your listeners is that if you really have true friends out there who admire you and respect you, they should, they should give you props, and they will give you props, because I had to commend myself for coming up publicly with this. It's like saying I'm coming out as a disabled man with cerebral palsy, but despite my challenges and my disabilities, I'm still kicking ass and I'm still rocking the house on a monthly basis. I mean, you have no idea how busy I am. I mean, I have my job, I have my state of California job, I have my DJing, I have, oh my gosh, I mean my schedule is like, I feel like I'm going on tour. And I'm
So
like,
let me ask you, has the disability created any challenges for you as a DJ? Time for a quick break from the show to let you know about the Wedding Music Letter. Are you struggling to find the wedding songs that match your personality and music style? Are you having a hard time keeping up with the new wedding songs being released? Then subscribe today to the Wedding Music Letter by going to my website, myweddingsongs.com, and clicking on the Join Now button. Every Wednesday, you'll get song ideas to build your wedding playlists. On the last day of the month, you'll get all of the new wedding songs released from the prior month. So subscribe today and join over 7,000 other engaged couples and wedding pros by going to myweddingsongs.com and joining the Wedding Music Letter today. Now back to the show.
yes and no, but I have learned to keep my disability in check. I know I have my challenges, such as processing, because what the cerebral palsy does, it impacts your central nerve system, especially the part for critical thinking. That's the part where it got to me. And I want to share this publicly, and I never shared this with anybody, but I'm going to break the ice right here, if it's okay. I had 2 seizures. One when I was 18 months, and then again when I was 7 years old. I'm not gonna lie, that actually happened. The last time I had a seizure when I was 7 years old, and I want to share this because I want people to understand this. I was with my mother at her sister's house in River City, California, and my mother was asleep, and I was asleep. I don't know exactly what happened, because when you have a seizure, you're blacked out. The only thing that you know is the aftermath. It's like your brain draws a total blank before and the during portion. And basically how it started was my mother and I were sleeping in the bedroom, peacefully, of course. And my mother tells me that around 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, I was starting to shake violently and uncontrollably. And she was like, Ugo, call 911. Alex is having a seizure. And when I woke up, the only thing I remember, and this is the only thing I remember, is that they put the oxygen mask over my nose and mouth, and I just started crying. What happened during and after the seizure? I have I have no recollection of what happened. I have no idea what happened. The way it works for me is, the way I can process is like your brain draws a total blank, and you don't know anything that happened before and during. The only thing I remember is the after. But after my mother told the story, I was like, really? I'm like, yeah, this actually happened. And I'm not gonna lie to you, this actually did occur. And I don't remember what year it was, but that's what I was informed when it happened. And basically, when you have a seizure, you basically have permanent brain damage, especially with your critical thinking and your thoughts. And even though I haven't had a seizure since I was 7 years old, which by the grace of God has been great, I am kind of suffering with some of the other symptoms that impacts my cerebral palsy, which I'm not gonna lie, I might need help for this, but I'm gonna get help. The only thing I'm having a problem with right now is just process. It's like, if somebody gives me something, let me just process this. And they might give me a minute or two to think, so I can think of something rather than getting a critical call. But the bottom line is that I'm alive. I almost died. I was in a coma for a long time, and the doctors were telling me that I wasn't going to make it, not even by a long shot. But for me, it's like I'm a miracle. And for me, surviving these seizures, it's like, and I feel like I had an epiphany or a second chance at life, and I'm not going to waste it.
So do you think that where you're at today, has it shaped your approach to DJing and interacting with the crowds because of the critical thinking?
Yes, but I keep it in check. I always keep it in check. So I'm in control of it. not the other way around. We're not wind-up dolls.
Right.
But for me, being an interactive DJ, especially, I got to meet so many famous people over the years. I got to meet DJ Casper, may he rest in peace. I got to meet him in Vegas a couple of years ago during some conferences in the past. And for the first time in 10 years, I got reunited with DJ Scribble. I met this guy in Las Vegas during the other conventions that I go in the past. But me and Scribble, as soon as we saw each other in the hallway, he's like, Alex Reyes, Scribble. He gave me a hug. He's like, how you doing, man? It's been 10 years. I'm like, yeah, it's been a long time. I'm like, where the hell have you been? What's going on? Just busy. And then he knew about my dad too. So I called him. He was the first person that was on my mind that I called him during the last couple of weeks of his loss. But we were able to hang out, and I was able to go to his Q&A session, and he told everybody, this man is one of the greatest inspirational people I have ever met in my life, and I'm honored to be his friend. I mean, when I heard that brought me to tears, because I have been so blessed on meeting so many people, from Mike Walters to Shaney to Mark Beckham and some other speakers in the industry. For me, being inspired by those people, I'm not gonna lie, I am not good at public speaking. Guilty on that. Okay, I'm just a DJ. If my dad was here, he would have been like, okay, Alex, you're just a DJ, you just play the music, do whatever, let somebody else do the speaking. Everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. For me, my strengths is the DJing and the sound reinforcement and the uplights. My weakness is public speaking. The only method I can embarrass myself while I'm speaking in public is like just picture everybody naked.
Yep, exactly.
Or just picture them in their underwear, and you just inside and like, oh, okay, here we go. But that's the thing, man. It's like for me, and I'm not gonna lie, I have done countless interviews, TV, radio over the last 20 years on subjects that were important to me, especially when I did the interview with Telemundo and NBC about my business coming back despite the pandemic. It was a real eye-opener for me, because for me, nobody's been trained for this pandemic. Nobody was prepared for this. And if my company took another hit, then that'll be the end for me. I'm gonna be history. But by the grace of God and the support that I've been rallying from the community, I'm not gonna lie, everyone knows me here in Fremont, California. You go to a police station and you're like, oh, I'm looking for, do you know a guy named Alex Reyes? I'm like, oh, you mean the DJ? Yeah. I know this guy. He's real cool, because everybody knows me, from the chief of police, the chief of fire, the Fremont City Council, my employer, the state of California. It's like wherever I go, I mean, I don't know how or why this happened, but like, for me, being a popular guy is better, because I don't know if you guys saw my post on social media, but I am so out there in the community. And how I got my company started was I had an epiphany a long time ago when I was in junior high. I had an epiphany. And I had two options in my life. It was either A, sit at home, do nothing all day, which was crap, or B, get your butt up and go do something for a living or go make a name for yourself. And I made that choice. And I just said, you know what? Chinga tu madre, I'm going to go out and make a living and do what I got to do and all that. And I'm not going to lie, over the last 20 plus years, 23 years of this business, I honestly didn't expect to be where I am today. I honestly didn't expect it. I thought it was going to last for 10 years and I'm done. But I didn't expect to get this busy. I didn't expect to get this popular. I mean, everybody here in town knows who I am. Everybody here in the Bay Area knows who I am. I mean, I don't really promote myself no more, because it's self-promotion on social media and vice versa, because it's word of mouth. But the bottom line is that as long as you know what you're doing and you bring your A game, and I want to give this advice for anybody who has a disability or anybody who has challenges in their lives about bouncing back. I want you guys all to know, despite what problems you're dealing with in life, I want you guys to bounce back strong. And that's what I did with my company, Matt. I came back stronger than ever. I prevailed. I defied the odds, and I really, really turned my life around, because with this pandemic, nobody knows what the heck's going on. Nobody knows what is going to happen. I have seen mom and pop stores go out of business after 50 years and they're calling it quits. But I'm not going to be throwing in the towel as of yet because I promised my father that I will do everything in my power to keep his legacy through my business as long as possible. And if anybody would like to learn more about him, please visit manuelreyes.djalexreyes.com. That's manuelreyes.djalexreyes.com. Because I want them to know that any business, big or small, can make a difference. And what my dad also really taught me was, doesn't matter what type of equipment you got. The clients don't care about the equipment you got. You don't have to tell them what you're going to be bringing. Just bring your A game, your charisma, and your talent to the dance floor and watch. It's going to come in dividends. So for me, doing this, it's an honor for my dad. It's an honor for my family. So I'm happy to be the man I am today.
And then just for the listeners too, we'll have a link in the show notes as well to your dad's website. So that way they can see and learn more about him. I wanted to say too, congratulations just on making it through and surviving the 10 years. One of the famous sayings that I like is Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And when you can say you've been punched in the mouth and gotten back up, that's just a testament to your fortitude and your personality to make it happen.
Oh, yes. I believe that. I really believe that, Matt, because it's a way of saying, if you fall off a horse, what's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to get back on it again. And if you try and you try again. I mean, I'm not going to give up. I mean, I never gave up. DJ Alex Reyes never gives up on anything he puts his mind up to. I never gave up. I mean, I fought tooth and nails to be where I am today. I struggle just like everybody else because when you start out, it's always a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
It's always going to be challenges, and no, correct it. There's going to be roadblocks in your path. So for me, doing what I do and doing what I do best, it's like, oh, call Alex Reyes. I mean, I belong to a couple of DJ organizations, but everybody comes to me. I actually have a Relay for Life this weekend. And my friend DJ Mike, he's like, Alex, let's do a relay. You bring your stuff, I'll just bring my laptop and I'll just bring in whatever I need and we'll make it happen. I mean, I'm already preparing. I mean, even though it's Thursday, I'm preparing it now because we have to do what I got to. But the bottom line is that as long as we just do what we do best, I'm very proud to say this, but I am very honored and privileged to do what I do. If I wasn't a DJ, I could be sitting in jail. I'll put it this way. I could be going down a different path. I could be having a different interest. And for me, just doing what I do, it's like, okay, Alex, go DJ, stay out of trouble, don't go to jail, blah, 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 blah. But for me, it's like, this is perfect because music's been in my blood since I was a kid. And once you have that in your system, it's almost impossible to get it out of your system. It's like if somebody comes to you and they say, oh, we're not going to be doing DJing anymore ever again, or the industry went down the tube, then you're basically killing me inside by destroying the things that I love to do. And I spend a lot of time, effort, and money on everything: new DJ equipment, new speakers, brand new websites. I mean, during the pandemic, I was really busy. I was overhauling everything. I mean, I went from analog to digital and overhauled my website from scratch. And I really did all that because a lot of people really just think, oh, just because of the pandemic, make yourself busy. But the bottom line is that as long as you can rise from the ashes, then you're able to make a comeback like I did. And I want to thank my family, my followers on social media, my friends, everybody who supported me over the years. I mean, this was a challenge for everybody. I bet you it was a challenge not just for me, for everybody, the restaurant industry, the aviation industry. But the bottom line is like, as long as you guys prevail and you come back strong, and that's all that really matters. Yeah. I mean, there will be adjustments down the road, but if you're coming back at 50% and you're giving it your all, it's a start. So, and for me, I'm so happy to come back stronger than ever.
There you go. And I think that's a great transition of one question I definitely wanted to ask you was, what advice would you give to an aspiring DJ, especially those with disabilities who might feel discouraged by their challenges?
My advice to upcoming DJs, especially if you're going through challenges in life or have a disability, is to never give up. I want you to get on that horse and try. And if all else fails, try again. Try a different approach. Try different strategies to make a name for yourself, because that's exactly what happened to me. I did so many strategies. I would say, okay, this works, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this will work. And I want to add this. So my advice to everybody who wants to become a DJ but having the challenge is to just follow your heart. If music's in your blood like I am, do what I do and just follow your heart and listen. And by the way, this is the most important advice. If you have never been to a convention such as Midwest DJs Live or the Marquee Show or Harvest of Sound, attend those conventions, because those conventions are really have great content. And I want you guys to be very successful. I want to get emails from you guys by saying, hi, Alex, my name is Ben, and I just want to email you because I wanted to thank you for inspiring me. I heard this podcast, and I want to let you know that I'm also a DJ. I mean, I actually have a friend who's also a DJ who's disabled, so I inspired him. But I want them to, to really just follow your heart. And my also advice is, like, if you're doing kids events, keep the events kid friendly. I have heard so many horror stories of DJs. One DJ in particular, which I won't mention names here, but one DJ in particular here in the Bay Area was hired to do an event, and this guy did everything wrong. This guy was too loud, and this guy was playing music with a lot of profanity. And I'm not gonna lie, they should have called me, because I know the environment. I mean, I've been working for the school district now since 2015. So I know the environment that these kids want. You want a kid-friendly. Yes, I understand there's a bunch of subliminal message out there, but you want to keep it clean. And that's also going to the DJs out there who want to be started. Make sure you guys play the right music, play the clean versions, because you're being an inspiration to the youth. If you set the wrong precedents, then it'll be like, oh, it's okay to play a lot of rap music with a lot of profanity. No. You want to make sure that everybody plays the right music, like Taylor Swift or Bruno Mars, but you keep the clean version. If you want to listen to the dirty version at home, go for it. But when you're out in public, play the clean version. So
let's kind of end on a high note. What would you consider your biggest accomplishment as a DJ?
Well, my most biggest accomplishment, and I didn't really expect this because I was really surprised, I have gotten so many awards. From my last award, I just received by Assemblyman Alex Lee here in California for Unsung Hero. And I'm going to share with you why I got this award. Number one, I received this award because of my passion for music. Alex Lee and I go way back. We go back years. And I actually want to share this story with you before I get out of here. But one of my last memories that my dad and I shared was, and I'm very proud to say this because this is something that this is going to blow a lot of people's minds. So please hear me out on this. On March 30th, 2022, Governor Gavin Newsom appointed me, DJ Alex Reyes, to the California State Council on Developmental Disabilities, proudly, let me repeat this, proudly representing the entire San Francisco Bay Area region. And when I told my dad that, my dad was in hospice care here at the house. My dad was so proud of me with this appointment. And that was the promise I made to my father, to honor him, stop with the cursing, and live my life to the fullest. About when I came back from Milwaukee 2 years ago in April of 2022, I went to Sacramento and I got sworn in by Assemblyman Alex Lee. So basically, when I got appointed, I had the choice of who I wanted to be sworn in by. I was originally supposed to choose Congressman Eric Swalwell, but he was busy that day. But since Alex and I go way back, I asked him, Alex, I need a favor, name it. I would like for you to swear me in. And I broadcast this live on Facebook. And I'm not going to lie to you on this one. The networks were literally watching the broadcast, even as I speak, because they mentioned my name on TV. Right. The governor had a list of appointees. And I got a call from NBC Bay Area. I have a lot of friends who work there at NBC Bay Area, Can TV. And the assignment editor, John Z, calls me. And he's like, Alex, this is John in NBC Bay Area. How are you, brother? I'm like, I'm doing well. I'm like, well, I am confused. I'm like, what's going on, John? Is it true? I'm like, what? Is it really true that you got really appointed by California Governor Gavin Newsom to sit on SCDD? I'm like, yes, John, that is. I'm like, okay, we want to interview you. We want to send a news crew. Well, I'm actually in Sacramento right now, but if you watch the live feed, you can use it, like, deal. So they actually put me on that newscast that night.
Awesome.
And everybody at the network was like, I have friends who are reporters, producers, anchors. I have friends at the networks. I mean, I have friends all over. And I was like, even the station manager I know too well. And she's like, Alex, is this really true? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this. When I told my employer, Fremont Unified School District, what I did, and I told the chief of police of the Fremont Police Department exactly what I did because I had to meet with the police on a sensitive subject. They did the exact same thing, which I'm about to tell you. They almost fell out of their chairs. I swear to God that almost happened because I went to the police station to go talk, and he's like, Alex, what have you been doing? And he's like, well, no, chief, but if you read my post on social media, because they follow me, they said I got appointed by the governor to sit on SCDD. And he almost fell out of his chair. I am not gonna lie, I wish I had that on camera because he was like, wow, this is a big honor. And because of him, I got a special invitation to join the Chiefs Advisory Board for the Fremont Police Department. I was a former cadet for Fremont PD for 17 years. So I know my way around the department. And when I got the message of joining the Chiefs Advisory Board, the chief said to me, he told me, and I quote, I would love to have you. It would be an honor if you would sit on the Chiefs Advisory Board. So basically what the Chiefs Advisory Board does, they advise the chief on how to run the department, what works, what doesn't work, because I know a lot of the tactics, but I'm not going to discuss it here because of privacy. But I told that to my manager at Fremont Unified School District, and my manager calls me on the phone. It's like, Alex, I need to have a meeting with you. I'm like, oh, great, I'm in trouble. I walk into her office, and the superintendent's there, and my managers are there. And she shows me this paper that they printed out. And she's like, do you want to explain yourself? Why are you doing this? And it was a picture of me being sworn in. And they were throwing me confetti and they were congratulating me. And I'm like, and they were in shock as well. I'm not gonna lie. They were absolutely in shock that somebody like me, a disability advocate who's been doing this now for 25 years, would be appointed to a state government job fighting for people with disabilities who don't have a voice, Matt. So basically, as an advocate, our job is to let them know, and I say this 1,000 times a day, and I'm proud of this. People with disabilities are part of our community, and we're proud of it. And I'm really damn proud of saying that because the disabled has a big purpose in life on making a huge difference. I mean, with the passing of AB 248 and SB 639, which eliminates the minimum wage here in California. So basically before it used to be like this. The regular people are right here and the disabled are right here, but now it's equal pay across the board. And the Dignity for All Act, like I said, bans the offensive R word from state law and literature permanently. I really, really wish, and I hope I can say this because I'm not getting in trouble for this, but I really, really wish this was a felony because I have seen so many people say that R word offensively to the point I don't want to be their friends. Now, if it's used in avionics, like retard, that means pull the throttle back, coming for a landing and flare. If you're using it for that context, that's different. But if you're using it offensively, that's like saying, okay, I am not your friend. Have a great life. Don't call me. Don't email me. We're done. So get the hell out of here and don't ever come back. I never want to see you again. Because I have been told that so many times when I was a kid. And I'm not gonna lie, it really, I mean, in the beginning, I didn't know what it meant because I was just a kid. But now that I'm an adult and I finally come full circle, though, that's, I'm not gonna go into it, but you know what it means. For me, it's like, no, I can tolerate the abuse to a certain point, but when you cross the line and you start saying those things, that's when I get really upset and I'm like, we're done.
I agree. So let's focus on the positive, and I have to congratulate you on your appointment to the office position. That's a wonderful thing, and all the best with that.
Oh,
And
yes. I'm actually on year 2 of year 3. So if the governor reappoints me again sometime next year, it's another 3 years. So it's a 6-year term.
that's fantastic. Well,
So,
all the best. And I'm sure you're representing very well. So to
yeah.
close it out with our listeners, can you tell them how to connect with you and hire you as their DJ and follow along?
Oh, yes, yes. And I just want to thank your listeners for really listening to this story, because I want them to listen to this podcast and let them know that there's people out there who are making a big difference in a big way. But if anybody would like to get in contact with me, please feel free to call or text me at 510-754-5383. My email address is Alex, ALEX, at DJAlexReyes.com. Alex at DJAlexReyes.com. And you can find me. People find me here all the time. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, or X. I just call it Twitter. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at DJ Alex Reyes. So if you see the logo behind me, look for this logo on the platforms. That'll let me know that the big A with the half moon is the official page of DJ Alex Reyes and nobody else. So Matt, my friend, thank you so much for allowing me to be here today. I am humbled and honored to be a part of this. And I hope this podcast will reach people who need lifting and need inspiring, so they know that people with disabilities are not alone, and a lot of people can make a difference one step at a time.
Thank you very much, Alex. I really appreciate you being on the podcast and sharing your story. And to all of our listeners, stay tuned for next week for another episode of the Wedding Songs Podcast, released every Thursday morning. Thanks for listening and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Wedding Songs Podcast. Never miss a future episode. Subscribe today to our podcast. Follow us on Facebook at My Wedding Songs and send us a message about playlists you would like covered.